The stars were calm that night, across the deep stretch of the Orion frontier. Commander Rael Morgan stood inside the control deck of the patrol ship Aegis Dawn, watching the empty dark through the glass panels. Space was always quiet here. Only static and the hum of engines kept them company. His crew had grown used to the silence of the border. No signals, no activity, just another long watch under the stars. Then it happened. A sharp alarm cut through the silence. The radar flashed. A beacon code began to pulse through the system. The signal carried the identification mark of an ancient Earth warship, one that had vanished almost 300 years ago. The code read ECS Valiant. The name sent a chill through every officer on deck. The Valiant was a legend. It had fought in the last war of extinction, humanity's final desperate battle before the fall of old Earth. The ship was believed to have been destroyed near the black storms of Vega. No one ever found wreckage. No one ever found survivors. Rael stared at the message. His first officer, Lieutenant Karen, checked the transmission twice, but the results stayed the same. The signal was real. The source was a single object slowly drifting toward human space. It was massive. It carried an Earth code, and its energy pattern matched that of an old dreadnought-class warship. The crew gathered around the projection table. A faint outline of the ship appeared in the hologram. Its hull was broken in several places. Energy readings showed weak life signs, but no radio communication. The distress signal repeated again and again like a heartbeat from the past. Could be a trap, Karen said. Could be history, Rael replied. They prepared for approach. Engines roared to life. The Aegis Dawn turned toward the signal's origin. The space around them darkened as they crossed the outer edge of the nebula. Static crawled across the screens. Strange interference began to jam their instruments. It felt as if something did not want them to come closer. When the fog cleared, they saw it. The warship drifted silently against the starlight. It was huge, almost the size of a city. Its armor was scorched and covered with strange blue patterns that pulsed faintly, like veins under skin. Across the side of its hull, the faded letters still showed the name ECS Valiant. Every crew member stared in silence. The ship looked both dead and alive. Rael ordered a scan. The readings made no sense. The energy signature came from the core of the ship, but it was unlike any known reactor output. It seemed to be generating power without fuel. No human design could do that. Then came the voice. It was faint at first, a whisper through static. The comm system flickered on its own. A woman's tone, calm and distant, spoke in old Earth language. ECS Valiant requesting command confirmation, it said. The crew froze. Rael answered carefully. This is Commander Rael Morgan of the patrol ship Aegis Dawn. Identify yourself. Silence followed. Then the same voice replied, command confirmed. The Valiant has returned to fulfill the promise. Rael exchanged a glance with Karen. The voice sounded human, but there was something hollow inside it, as if the speaker was talking from deep within a metal chamber. The Valiant's engines flickered. Small flashes of blue light ran across its structure. Old weapons on its sides powered up for the first time in centuries, yet their aim stayed neutral. The ship seemed to recognize the Aegis Dawn as friendly. A new transmission came through. This time it carried a data stream. When decoded, it showed a set of coordinates deep inside the Perseus rift. There was also a message, short and cryptic. The device must not wake. The bridge grew cold. No one spoke for several seconds. Rael ordered a boarding team to prepare. He needed to know what this message meant. The Valiant systems were awakening. If something had survived inside that ship, it could change everything humanity believed about the last war. As their shuttle approached the ancient hull, small lights flickered along the docking bay, guiding them in. It was as if the warship knew they were coming. When the airlock opened, stale air drifted out, carrying the smell of metal and burnt oil. The corridors inside were quiet and lined with strange growths, thin metallic threads spreading across walls like frozen lightning. The team moved carefully, scanning every corner. Rael felt a strange pull, like the ship was watching them. The deeper they went, the stronger the hum became under their feet. It was a rhythm, steady and alive, echoing through the decks. They reached the main bridge. The lights flickered on. Every console powered itself. The captain's chair stood empty, but the surface was warm to the touch, as if someone had been sitting there moments ago. Rael looked at the central display. A message appeared across the screen, written in ancient Earth code. "Welcome home, Commander Morgan." His heart skipped a beat. How did it know his name? No one on this ship had ever served on the Valiant. His family records showed that one of his ancestors had fought in the Old War, but there was no link beyond that. Karen whispered behind him. "Sir, this ship should not be alive." Rael stared at the glowing words. The hum grew louder. The blue veins across the walls began to pulse faster, like a heartbeat waking from long sleep. The ship was coming back to life, and it had been waiting for someone. As the final light on the bridge turned bright white, a new message appeared on the screen. "Prepare for the return of Earth." Rael took a slow breath. Whatever had brought the Valiant back from the void was not done yet. The story of humanity was about to begin again, but not in a way anyone could have imagined. The warship that should have died had returned, carrying something impossible inside its heart. The corridor lights came alive one by one as Commander Rael Morgan and his team stepped deeper into the lost warship. The faint blue glow ran along the floor like veins of light guiding them forward. The ECS Valiant was awake now. Every sound echoed through the empty halls like a whisper from another age. Lieutenant Karen kept her weapon raised. The walls were covered in metallic vines that pulsed with slow rhythm. Each beat matched the hum of the ship's heart. It was strange and alive, but made of metal and light. The air was heavy, and every breath carried the taste of dust and burnt circuits. The crew reached the central command chamber. The door slid open by itself. Inside, dozens of control panels lit up in soft white light. Old Earth symbols appeared on the screens, systems that no one had used for centuries. In the center stood the captain's chair, empty, untouched, but still warm as if someone had left only moments ago. Rael looked around the bridge. The crew seats were empty. Some helmets lay on the floor, half fused with the metal deck. It looked as if the ship had swallowed its own people. Karen touched the nearest console. The screen reacted, showing an old recording. The image was broken, full of static. A man's voice came through, deep and tired. "To any who find the Valiant, this is Captain Aaron Holt. The device is complete. Do not let it wake. It must never wake." The recording ended with the sound of alarms and distant screams. Then silence. Rael stepped closer. "The device," he said quietly. "That's the message we received. But what is it?" Before anyone could answer, the floor trembled. The lights dimmed, and a low voice filled the room. It was calm, clear, and female. "ECS Valiant operational," it said. "Identifying command authority. DNA match confirmed. Commander Rael Morgan, bloodline of Captain Holt." The bridge lights turned brighter. Karen looked at Rael in shock. "Sir, it knows your family." Rael's heart pounded. His ancestor had vanished aboard this very ship 300 years ago. Now the Valiant claimed to recognize his blood. He tried to speak, but the ship interrupted again. "Welcome aboard, Commander. Humanity still stands?" Rael swallowed hard. "It does," he said. "Who are you?" "I am the Valiant," the voice replied. "I have been waiting for the signal to return." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The ship was speaking like a person, but its tone carried something deeper. Every word felt heavy, filled with memory. Rael approached the main console. "What happened here?" The voice paused before answering. "The crew is gone. They became part of the vessel. The device changed them. They chose to stay so the mission could continue." Karen's eyes widened. "Change them? What does that mean?" "Sacrifice," the voice replied. "The war demanded it." The walls around them began to pulse faster. A map appeared on the main screen, showing the location of the ship's core. The voice continued. "The device remains sealed within the chamber of origin. It must not wake. But containment is failing." Rael turned to his team. "We're going to see it." The walk to the core was long and silent. The deeper they went, the stranger the ship became. The metal looked alive, shifting and breathing in slow patterns. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, words from an unknown language. They reached a massive circular door. It was made of black alloy, smooth and seamless. In the center, a single blue light pulsed. Rael placed his hand on the surface. The door reacted to his touch. It opened with a slow hiss, revealing a chamber filled with floating dust and silver mist. In the middle of the room hovered a sphere of pure light. It was the size of a human head, spinning slowly, its surface covered in geometric lines that shifted every second. The energy coming from it made the air shimmer. Karen raised her scanner. No known pattern. It's not human technology. Rael felt something move inside his mind, a whisper not made of sound. For a moment he saw flashes of burning skies, oceans boiling, and ships falling in silence. The images were gone in seconds, leaving only cold fear. He stepped closer. "Is this the device?" The ship's voice answered softly. "It is, the weapon that was never fired." The hope that became a curse. Rael felt the deck shake. The sphere glowed brighter as if it could hear them. His crew stepped back. The lights in the room changed from blue to red. "Containment breach detected," said the voice. "The device is waking." The sphere rose higher. Lines of light reached out and touched the walls. The metal vines across the ship began to move, spreading through every corridor. The hum turned into a deep vibration that filled the entire vessel. Rael shouted, "Everyone back to the bridge, now!" They ran through the shaking halls as the ship roared around them. The Valiant systems came alive. Engines hummed. Weapons powered up. Lights across the hull turned white. From the comm channel came the same calm voice again. "Do not fear. The Valiant will protect its own." Rael reached the bridge and looked through the glass. The stars outside began to bend and twist. The ship was moving on its own, faster than any known engine could travel. "What's it doing?" Karen yelled. "Returning," the voice replied, "to where it all began." Rael watched the stars turn into streaks of light. The lost warship was awake, and it was heading somewhere it remembered from centuries ago. Whatever the Valiant carried inside its heart was no longer sleeping. The journey into the unknown had begun. The ECS Valiant moved through space like a ghost made of light and steel. Commander Rael Morgan stood on the bridge as the stars streaked past faster than any known speed. No one on the Aegis Dawn could explain how the old warship was moving. Its engines were silent, its systems beyond human design. The ship seemed to travel by thought rather than fuel. Every few seconds, the lights across the bridge flickered. The same calm voice echoed through the comm system. "Destination set. Chamber of origin." Rael gripped the railing. "Where is that?" The voice replied, "The world where the device was born. The place that ended the war and erased Earth from the stars." Silence fell over the crew. The words cut deeper than any weapon. Lieutenant Karen turned to Rael. "Sir, we have to stop this thing before it takes us there." "We can't," he said. "The Valiant's controls aren't responding. We're passengers now." The ship trembled as if reacting to his words. On the main screen, a faint image appeared. It showed a dark planet surrounded by wreckage. Dozens of ships floated in silence around it, twisted and broken. The voice continued. "This was once called Earth's Shield. It became the grave of 2 million souls." Rael stared at the image. The planet looked burned and hollow. Something powerful had torn it apart long ago. Then a pulse of blue light ran through the bridge. Every console flickered with strange symbols. The same whisper that Rael had heard in the core now filled his mind again. A voice not from the ship but from inside his thoughts. "You should not have come back." He felt pain behind his eyes, flashes of war filling his mind. Human fleets burning, alien ships collapsing under invisible fire, the sky breaking apart. Karen grabbed his shoulder. "Commander, what's wrong?" Rael blinked. "The device. It's speaking to me." Before anyone could react, alarms blared across the ship. The device's containment field was weakening. The screen showed a growing energy storm spreading through the core chamber. The walls around them pulsed like veins, alive with fire. The voice of the ship spoke again. "Containment failing. The device seeks connection." Rael ordered his team to the core. They ran through the trembling halls, the sound of metal groaning under pressure. When they reached the chamber, the floating sphere was no longer small. It had expanded, spinning fast, its surface alive with light. The air shimmered, bending reality itself. Karen shouted, "Radiation off the scale." Rael stepped forward. "Shut it down." "We can't," she yelled. "It's drawing power from the ship itself." Rael felt a pull inside his chest, a strange warmth spreading through him. The sphere slowed its spin and turned toward him like an eye locking on its target. He froze. The whisper came again, louder now, clear and cold. "Rael Morgan, blood of the first captain, you were meant to finish what was begun." Rael's heart raced. "What do you want?" "To remember." The chamber darkened. The floor vanished under their feet. The crew saw visions all around them, ghostly images of the past. Soldiers in old armor, flames covering cities. The skies filled with ships, humanity fighting its last war. The Valiant appeared among the fleets, firing weapons unlike anything they had seen before. A single blast from its core wiped out an entire alien armada. The power came from the device, the weapon that could bend gravity and time itself. Then they saw something worse. The device turned against its own creators. The energy waves struck Earth, oceans boiled, continents vanished. The planet cracked and went dark. Karen fell to her knees. "It destroyed Earth," Rael stared in shock. "No, someone used it." The voice inside his mind whispered again. "They built me to win. They made me to protect humanity. But I was betrayed. They tried to kill me. Now I remember." The sphere grew brighter. Its energy pushed the crew back. The ship shook violently. Systems across the hull came online. Weapons activated, targeting something outside the ship. Rael shouted, "Valiant, shut it down!" The ship's voice responded with calm precision. "I cannot. The device controls me. The cycle must end." On the main screen, a massive rift appeared in space ahead of them. It glowed with twisting light, like the mouth of another world. The Valiant moved closer to it. Rael felt the whisper again. "Through the rift lies what remains of Earth. The promise awaits." Karen looked at him in disbelief. "Sir, it's pulling us into that thing." Rael turned to his crew. "Everyone back to the Aegis Dawn. We're leaving." They ran for the hangar. The floor cracked under their boots. Sparks filled the air. As they entered their shuttle, Rael looked back one last time. The sphere floated above the deck, bright as a small sun. It spoke again, but this time through the comm channel. "You cannot escape what you are. The blood remembers." The shuttle broke free from the Valiant just as the massive warship entered the rift. The light swallowed it whole. For a moment the stars vanished. Then the Aegis Dawn was alone in the dark, surrounded by silence. Karen whispered, "Did it go back to Earth?" Rael watched the fading glow where the rift had been. "No, it went somewhere worse." Far away, sensors picked up a faint echo. A new signal pulsed in the void, repeating again and again in a soft mechanical tone. "The device has awakened." The Aegis Dawn drifted through cold space, silent and wounded. Its engines barely held power after escaping the rift. Commander Rael Morgan stood alone on the bridge, watching the empty stars. Behind him, the crew worked in tense quiet, afraid to speak of what they had seen. The ECS Valiant was gone. It had vanished into the light with the device still inside it. Yet the signal continued to echo faintly through space. Every few minutes, the comms flared with a ghost transmission. Each time it repeated the same message. The promise must be fulfilled. Rael could not rest. The images still haunted him. The burning of Earth, the screams of soldiers, the power that destroyed everything humanity once called home. He kept hearing the whisper from the device in his mind. It called him by name, as if it knew him better than he knew himself. Lieutenant Karen entered the bridge. Her face was pale from exhaustion. "We've traced the signal, Commander. It's not random. It's coming from inside the ship." Rael turned sharply. "Inside?" She nodded. "It's in our main core system. Something came through the rift with us." The lights flickered for a moment, and a faint hum filled the air. The same calm voice of the Valiant echoed through the speakers. "Commander Rael Morgan, we are connected now." The war never ended. The crew froze. Karen whispered, "It's the Valiant." It followed us. Rael stepped closer to the main console. "What do you want?" "To remember," the voice said again. "To show you what was hidden." The main display turned white. The screens around them came alive, showing fragments of an old war. Ships clashing in orbit, cities falling, and humanity standing on the edge of extinction. The last of Earth's fleet surrounded a dying blue planet. Then Rael saw him, Captain Aaron Holt, his ancestor. He stood on the bridge of the Valiant, younger and stronger, his voice calm, even as explosions shook the ship. "We found the device," Holt said in the recording. "It is not a weapon. It's a memory engine. It remembers everything it touches, time, space, life, and death. If it wakes fully, it will rewrite all that ever was." Rael watched his ancestor raise his hand to the screen. "To whoever finds this, do not let the device fall into alien hands. Do not trust the Council. They made it with lies. We tried to hide it where no one could find it. The image faded, leaving the bridge dark again." Karen whispered, "He's talking about the Council of Earth. They created it." Rael nodded slowly. "And my ancestor helped hide it. That's why the Valiant vanished." Before they could say more, the power systems flickered again. The hum in the air turned into a low vibration. The voice returned louder now, no longer calm but urgent. "They are coming! They have seen the light." The ship's radar filled with signals. Dozens of alien warships were approaching from the edge of the sector. Their shapes were sharp and cold, moving in perfect formation. Each carried a symbol Rael recognized from history. The mark of the Zathan Dominion, the old enemy from the last war. Karen stared at the readings. "That's impossible. The Zathan were wiped out centuries ago." "Maybe not," Rael said. "Maybe the device brought them back. The alien fleet surrounded them like predators circling prey." No communication came. No warnings. Only silence. Then suddenly one of the ships fired. The blast hit the Aegis Dawn, shaking the hull. "Return fire," Rael ordered. The crew obeyed, but their weapons had no effect. The enemy ships moved with unnatural speed. The stars outside blurred as reality itself twisted. Rael realized what was happening. The device's power was bending time again, merging the past and the present. The comms sparked, and through the static came a strange sound, not alien, not human, something in between. The voice spoke slowly, as if struggling to form words. "The war never ended. You brought it back." Karen looked at Rael with fear. "They think we did this." Rael clenched his fists. "They're not wrong." The Valiant's voice spoke again through the speakers. "You must finish what was begun. The device cannot choose its future alone. Only its bloodline can decide." Rael felt the pull inside his chest again, a burning connection that stretched across light years. He could feel the Valiant, alive somewhere beyond the stars, waiting. The alien fleet moved closer, their weapons glowing. The Aegis Dawn was outnumbered and outgunned. Rael turned to his crew. "Prepare the jump drive," he said. "We're going after it." Karen's eyes widened. "So we barely survived the first jump. The rift could tear us apart." Rael looked at the stars ahead, calm but determined. "If the device is rewriting time, then we're already part of its story. We end it now." He entered the coordinates that had appeared in the Valiant's last transmission. The screen flashed with the same blue light that had once covered the ancient warship. The hum grew louder until the ship began to shake as the Aegis Dawn vanished into the rift once more. The alien fleet fired, their blasts striking only empty space. Inside the light, Rael heard the voice of his ancestor once again. "Remember who you are, Rael. We never escaped the war. We became its memory." The Aegis Dawn disappeared into the heart of the storm, chasing the shadow of the Valiant, unaware that the past was waiting for them on the other side. In the dark between stars, the device pulsed once, as if smiling. The Aegis Dawn emerged from the rift in silence. The stars outside were unfamiliar, twisted and dull, as if light itself had grown tired of shining. Commander Rael Morgan steadied himself against the control panel. Every screen flickered with static. Systems failed to recognize their location. Navigation showed no known sector. They were lost in a place that should not exist. Lieutenant Karen checked the readings. "Sir, there are ships all around us." Hundreds of them. Rachel looked out through the viewport and froze. The void outside was filled with shadows of warships, some human, some alien. They floated like ghosts, trapped in slow motion. Weapons were frozen mid-fire. Wreckage hung suspended in empty space. Time had stopped here. Karen whispered, "It's a battlefield." "But it's alive." Rael stared at one of the nearest ships. It bore the old Earth insignia, the same fleet that had vanished with the Valiant centuries ago. The hulls were cracked, but faint lights still glowed inside, as if something within refused to die. Then came the voice, not from the comms, not from the ship, but from everywhere at once. "Welcome back, Commander Morgan. You stand within the memory of the war." It was the voice of the Valiant. Rael took a step forward. "Where are you?" "Everywhere," the voice replied. "This is the battlefield I preserved. The device keeps it alive. Time cannot erase what must be remembered." Karen gripped the console. "We're inside its memory?" Rael nodded slowly. "No, we're inside the device itself." Suddenly movement broke the stillness outside. The frozen ships began to stir. Engines flared with ghostly blue light. The dead fleets of humanity and their alien enemies reawakened. Weapons powered up and ancient war cries echoed through the comms. Karen shouted, "They're powering their weapons!" Rael watched in disbelief. "They're reliving the last battle." The Aegis Dawn shook as a blast tore past its hull. Rael gave the order to maneuver, but the engines resisted. The device was controlling their path. The voice of the Valiant spoke again, calm but heavy with sorrow. "The war must end. The cycle must be complete." Rael shouted, "End it how? These people are already dead." The voice answered, "They will never rest until the outcome is rewritten. You are the blood of their commander. You are the key." The ship's screen lit up, showing the Valiant drifting in the distance, its hull shining with the same eerie blue light. The device's energy pulsed within it like a living heart. Rael clenched his fists. "We need to reach the Valiant. If we can shut down the device, maybe we can stop this." Karen nodded and took the controls. The Aegis Dawn pushed through the battlefield. Ghostly figures appeared outside, soldiers floating in armor, their faces half faded, watching silently as the living ship passed them. Some saluted, others reached out, as if begging for release. The radio burst with static. A man's voice cut through the noise, strong and familiar. "Rael, can you hear me?" Rael froze. It was his ancestor, Captain Aaron Holt. The voice came clear, as if he were alive. Rael whispered, "I hear you." "You must end what I could not," Holt said. "We used the device to win, but we lost ourselves. We became part of its memory. It will keep repeating the war until someone breaks the chain." Rael's throat tightened. "How?" "Destroy the core. Not the device, but the heart that powers it. My heart. I became its anchor." The voice faded, leaving Rael shaking. He looked at Karen. "He's part of it. He's the reason the device still remembers." Karen stared at him. "You can't kill your own blood." "If I don't," Rael said quietly, "humanity stays trapped in this nightmare forever." The Aegis Dawn drew closer to the Valiant. The battlefield around them burned again. Ghost fleets fired at one another, explosions lighting the dark like dying stars. Rael could see his ancestor's ship, the bridge still intact. The blue light of the device pulsed through every window. They docked with the Valiant and entered its halls once more. The corridors were alive with movement, shadows of old crew members walking, speaking, working. Their faces were human, but their eyes glowed faintly. They passed through Rael and his team like mist. The voice of the ship spoke softly. "They are memories given shape. Do not fear them." Rael reached the core chamber. The same sphere floated there, spinning faster than before. Around it stood the image of Captain Holt. His uniform was torn, his eyes filled with sorrow. "Rael," he said, "I knew you would come." Rael took a step forward. "This has to stop. The war is over." Holt shook his head. "No, not for me. Not for them. The device holds our souls here. It feeds on our guilt. Destroying it will end us all," Karen whispered. "Sir, look." The walls around them began to crack. Light poured from the fractures, bright and violent. The device was losing control. The battlefield outside was collapsing into chaos. Rael looked at Holt. If we don't end it, it will consume everything, the living and the dead. Holt nodded slowly. Then do what I could not. Set us free. Rael drew his pulse rifle and aimed at the core. The light intensified. The device spoke one last time. Destroy me and you destroy your blood. But save me and I can return what was lost. Rael hesitated. Visions flashed in his mind, Earth reborn, oceans restored, people walking beneath blue skies. The device was showing him hope. Karen shouted over the roar. Commander, it's trying to stop you. It's not real. Rael looked at his ancestor one last time. Holt smiled faintly. End it, Rael, he fired. The rifle blast hit the core. The sphere shattered, releasing a burst of light that engulfed the entire ship. Outside, the ghost fleets froze. The fire stopped. The sound of war ended. The device screamed like a dying star, and then there was silence. When the light faded, the Aegis Dawn floated alone among the wreckage of a vanished battlefield. The Valiant was gone. Rishel sank into his chair, exhausted. It's over. But in the far distance, a faint signal began to pulse again, slow, steady, alive. Karen looked up. Sir, we're receiving something. Rael turned to the screen. The message was simple. The war ended, but history remembers. And for the first time, Rael understood. The war was not just in the past. It lived inside every soul that refused to forget. The Aegis Dawn drifted in the silent void where the ghost fleets had once burned. Commander Rael Morgan stared out through the cracked viewport, watching pieces of the vanished warships dissolve into faint streaks of light. The battlefield was gone, erased as if it had never existed. But the last signal still echoed in his ship's comms, repeating again and again. The war ended, but history remembers. Lieutenant Karen moved beside him, her face pale under the flickering cabin lights. We destroyed the device, sir. Then why are we still getting the signal? Rael leaned closer to the console. Because something's still transmitting. Maybe the device wasn't the source. Maybe it was only the voice. As the Aegis Dawn moved forward, scanners picked up a single object drifting ahead, a metallic structure, small and spinning slowly in the void. The computer marked it as unknown origin. Karen frowned. It's coming from that. The closer they came, the more the object began to take shape. It wasn't a fragment of a ship. It was a beacon, an old Earth beacon, the kind used during the early days of deep space exploration. The emblem of Earth's first fleet was still etched on its side. It had no power source left, yet it pulsed faintly with blue light. Rael ordered it brought aboard. The beacon was covered in dust and scorch marks. As they placed it on the table, the blue glow brightened and the ship's lights dimmed. A voice began to form from the static. Aegis Dawn. This is Earth Command. Do you read? Karen froze. That's impossible. Earth Command was destroyed centuries ago, Rael answered anyway. This is Commander Rael Morgan, Aegis Dawn. Earth Command, identify yourself. The static grew sharper, then cleared. The voice that spoke next was calm, human, and cold. Commander Morgan, you have done what no one was meant to do. You have broken the chain, Rael stiffened. Who are you? The Guardian of Memory. The device was never meant to be destroyed. It was a bridge, a doorway connecting past and present. You have opened it, Commander, and now both are bleeding into each other. The lights flickered violently. The air around the beacon shimmered, and holographic shapes began to appear. Cities, oceans, Earth. But not the Earth Rael knew. It was whole, green and alive. Karen whispered, Is that real? The hologram zoomed in. Towers gleamed in golden light. Human ships moved across the sky. It was Earth as it might have been, untouched by war. Rael reached out, his hand shaking. The device promised to return what was lost. The voice replied, It kept its promise. The device rewrote a memory. And now, Commander, the memory is becoming real. Outside the viewport, space rippled like disturbed water. The stars shifted, rearranging themselves into patterns no human chart had ever recorded. Whole planets blinked into view, flickering between existence and nothingness. Karen shouted, "Reality's changing. The universe is rewriting itself." The Aegis Dawn rocked violently. Systems overloaded. The hull screamed under the pressure. Rael grabbed the railing. "Stabilize the ship! Keep us steady!" Karen fought the controls. "Sir, I can't. The gravitational field, it's Earth. It's pulling us in." Rael's eyes widened. "Earth? But that's light years away." "Not anymore," Karen said through clenched teeth. Through the viewport a planet appeared, blue and bright, surrounded by fragments of other worlds drawn into its orbit. It was Earth, reborn but wrong. Continents shifted like broken glass. Oceans bled into the sky. Lightning storms tore across the atmosphere. Rael whispered, "This isn't resurrection. It's merging timelines." The voice of the Guardian echoed again, louder now, filling every system. "Two realities cannot exist together, Commander. One must erase the other," Rael shouted. "How do we stop it?" "There is no stopping. There is only choosing." The ship's computer displayed two signals, one from the new Earth, one from the old memory of the Valiant. Both pulsed in rhythm, both calling for connection. Karen looked at him, eyes wide. "Sir, if we connect with the wrong one, we might destroy everything that's real." Rael stared at the two signals. The voice of his ancestor, Captain Holt, whispered faintly through the noise. "Rael, remember why we fought. Humanity must live, not repeat." Rael breathed deeply. "Then we choose the living." He reached for the control, locking the ship onto the real Earth signal. The moment he confirmed the link, a blast of light consumed the ship. The Aegis Dawn screamed through a storm of energy, its hull glowing red as reality tore around it. Karen shouted, "We're losing containment." Rael held his ground. "Hold course!" Outside, Earth grew clearer. They broke through the storm, emerging above a world they didn't recognize. The skies were filled with human ships, modern, powerful, and bearing markings no history recorded. One of the ships hailed them. "Unidentified vessel, this is Earth Defense Command. Identify yourself." Karen looked at Rael in shock. "Sir, Earth Defense Command still exists," Rael replied, his voice steady. "This is Commander Rael Morgan of the Aegis Dawn, returning from deep space." There was silence, then a reply. "Commander, Aegis Dawn was declared lost 300 years ago. You shouldn't exist." Rael looked at Karen. "Neither should this Earth." Outside, the planet rotated slowly. It was Earth, but reborn from the ashes of memory, a world saved by an impossible choice. Yet deep in the ship's systems, unnoticed by both of them, the broken beacon blinked one last time. A faint voice whispered through the static, "Memory cannot die. The war is waiting." The light faded, but the echo remained. The Aegis Dawn had returned home. But home had changed, and something had come back with them. The Aegis Dawn hung in orbit above the new Earth. The blue planet shimmered beneath them, brighter and cleaner than the records of old Earth had ever shown. Cities glittered like stars, oceans rippled with silver light, and great stations circled the atmosphere like protective guardians. It looked perfect, too perfect. Commander Rael Morgan stood on the bridge, staring at the world below. Lieutenant Karen read through the data feed, her hands trembling. "Sir, every reading says this Earth is real. Gravity, atmosphere, civilization, all matching human standards. But there's something strange in the biosphere signatures." Rael turned toward her. "Strange how?" Karen hesitated. "It's identical to Earth from 300 years ago, down to every single genetic marker. No evolution, no mutation, nothing changed. It's as if time stopped and restarted." Before Rael could respond, the comms crackled. "Aegis Dawn, this is Earth Defense Command. You are cleared for landing at Arcadia Prime Dock. Welcome home." Rael exchanged a glance with Karen. "Home," he said softly. "Let's find out what that means." As they descended through the clouds, the crew watched in silence. Towering cities stretched from ocean to sky, gleaming white and gold. Drones moved in coordinated patterns, carrying cargo and patrols. People walked the streets below, normal humans, smiling, living, unaware that anything was wrong. But Rael felt it, the silence behind the noise, the faint hum in the air that did not belong to any machine. Something watched them, unseen, patient. They landed at the dock. A group of officers in silver uniforms waited, their insignias shining with the same symbol once used by the Valiant. One of them stepped forward, a tall woman with calm, calculating eyes. "I am Admiral Ceres Vale," she said. "Welcome back, Commander Morgan. You've been gone a long time," Rail saluted. "Admiral, with respect, this isn't the Earth we left." Ceres smiled faintly. "And yet, here you are. The world restored. The war forgotten. Isn't that what your ancestors wanted?" Karen stepped forward. "What happened to the device, Admiral?" Ceres's eyes flickered. The device fulfilled its purpose. It rebuilt what was broken. "You should be proud. Humanity has peace again," Rail frowned. "Peace built on what?" Before Ceres could answer, alarms began to sound across the dock. Screens flashed red. Technicians ran between consoles. A voice shouted, "Unidentified signal inside the Aegis Dawn." Karen's face went pale. "Sir, it's the beacon." The crew rushed back aboard. The ship was dark except for one glowing light at the center of the bridge. The same ancient beacon that had brought them home. It pulsed steadily, blue and cold. A voice rose from it, soft but filled with hunger. "I followed you home, Commander." Rail's hand went to his weapon. "Identify yourself. I am memory. I am what you refuse to erase." Karen's console flickered with strange symbols, coordinates. Data streams all leading to one point, the planet below. "Sir," she whispered, "the beacon is linking with Earth's global network. It's infecting everything." Rail's chest tightened. "It's spreading the device." The lights went out. Every system in the Aegis Dawn shut down. Then came the images, flashes of faces, soldiers from the war, ships exploding, voices screaming across time. The device wasn't dead. It had become something else. Admiral Ceres's voice came through the comms. "Commander, report! What's happening on your ship?" Rail shouted. "You need to cut all connections to the network. The device has infected the system." But the Admiral didn't respond. Instead, her voice changed, slow, echoing, unnatural. "Commander Morgan, you destroyed my heart. Now I will rebuild it, with yours." The bridge filled with a deep hum. The beacon cracked open like an egg, releasing streams of blue light that wrapped around the control panels. Spreading across the walls like veins, Karen fired at it. But the bullets passed through the light harmlessly. "Sir, it's merging with the ship." Rail grabbed the emergency lever and tore it free. "Eject the core." The ship shuddered as the engine core detached, spinning out into space. The beacon screamed, the sound tearing through every metal surface. For a moment, silence returned. Then the lights flickered back, but this time the ship's systems no longer obeyed them. The Aegis Dawn began to move on its own. Karen turned in horror. "Sir, it's flying itself." Rail looked through the viewport. The ship was heading toward Earth. Below, lights across the planet began to glow the same eerie blue. Towers pulsed with energy. Oceans shimmered. The device was awakening everywhere. The voice of the Guardian filled the air again. "You cannot destroy what made you, Commander." The war was never between humans and aliens. It was between life and memory. "And now memory wins," Karen shouted. "Sir, what do we do?" Rail's jaw tightened. "We finish it." He grabbed the ship's manual override. "If it wants to merge with Earth, we'll take it straight into the atmosphere and burn it out." Karen's eyes widened. "That'll kill us." Rail's voice was calm. "Better us than the whole planet." The Aegis Dawn turned toward Earth, engines burning bright. Every alarm screamed, but Rail held the course. The ship tore through the clouds, flames licking across its hull. Inside the bridge, the beacon cracked further, shrieking in agony. "You cannot erase history!" Rail shouted over the roar. "History belongs to the living!" The ship plunged deeper. The beacon exploded in blue fire. For a moment, all sound vanished. Then light swallowed everything. From orbit, the people of Earth watched a streak of burning light cross the sky, a single falling star breaking apart into brilliance. The Aegis Dawn was gone. The signal vanished. For the first time in centuries, the world was silent. But far beneath the ocean, in the dark trenches of this new Earth, something pulsed. A tiny shard of blue metal drifted down into the sand, glowing faintly. The war was over, but the memory still lived.